I think you can change so much of your life, like with a photograph. The way that I shifted my mindset when I wanted to move to Chicago is I took this like 1920s, 1930s photo of myself, made it black and white, superimposed this documentary about Chicago over it. And then I put it up as my profile picture and I was like, okay, this is where we're going.
That's awesome.
And within a couple months, I had all the money that I needed to move. And I had no idea where it was going to come from.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, there's something really, really powerful in this.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Dark Art Society podcast. I'm your host, Chet, and today I'm very excited to bring you an interview with multidisciplinary artist, witch, tarot reader, writer, photographer. It's kind of amazing all the stuff she does. Katelan Foisy, and all around great person. Had such a great conversation with her. So that's coming up. I'm excited for you to hear it. And what's been going on with me? Studies back here, working on Studies.io at my Patreon. At certain levels, if you join for a year, you get a free study. And now I have a pile up of studies I have to get done. So I'm getting those finished and shipped out. Got just hustling for sales, stuff like that. Basically, I got a couple things on eBay. Got my Krampus LED light up Krampuses in the Store of Doom. I'm trying to sell the last few that remain. Stuff like that. Boring stuff. The life of an artist. There's a lot of boring stuff you got to do, but you got to do it. Anyway, if you would like to support the podcast, you can go to patreon.com/darkartsociety and help support the podcast. We also have memberships enabled on YouTube, so you can join that way as well if you'd like to contribute and help spread the good news of dark art. You get the podcast early. There's a bunch of benefits to joining, and we greatly appreciate it. And also you get your name read on the podcast. I don't remember if I feel like I read these names, but maybe I didn't. So I'm going to read them again. If I did read them, and if I didn't read them, I'm going to read them now. Okay, so new members of the Patreon are Scott Campbell, who also goes by Extremo the Clown. Thank you, Scott. And Eli Cash. These are the two most recent members. Thank you, Eli. We appreciate your support. If you join at the $5 and above level on either platform, you get a free 30% discount code for a human skull at Skull Shop, which is SKULLSHOPPE.com. And they have the most amazing skull replicas. I think this is a fetal skull I used in my last painting I did, mother and child. Amazing work, and 30% off of already reasonably priced skull replicas. I think that's all. Thank you everybody for listening, and I hope you enjoy my interview with Katelan Foisy. Oh, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell and all that stuff. All right, here goes with the interview. Hello, Katelan.
Hi.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming on. Very excited, very excited. You know, Steve Clef is the one who told me a while ago. I'm just so disorganized, it's hard for me to juggle everything and schedule everything, you know. And it's just like I invite people when they pop up on my feed or something. It's so totally disorganized. But Steve was like, you have to interview Katelan. You have to interview her. She's so amazing. She's this brilliant artist, and she's just a witch and super amazing. And and I was like, all right, I will. And then it was just like, I wrote it down on my list, and then, got sidetracked, and then finally got back to you. And and so here you are. So I'm excited.
Thank you. And Steve is amazing too. I mean, he's an incredible artist, and I'm just so honored to know you both. So. Oh
yeah, likewise. I mean, yeah, he's a really good friend of mine, and he's been talking about you because we do that a Patreon thing, as kind
Yeah.
of like, I think similar to what you guys do, and he talks about you all the time on there. So he's a huge fan of you
I'm
just
honored.
as a person. So, yeah, it's funny because when he first mentioned your name to me, I was like, I know that name, and
Yeah.
I knew your face, but I couldn't place your art. And
Yeah.
it's usually like with artists, it's like I kind of know their art and I know their name and I don't know their face or something, some combo like that.
Yes.
And so one thing I'm not sure where I knew you from, but it's from a long time ago. I don't know if it's from showing together or through Yasha or Coil House or something, maybe.
I am pretty sure it was Coil House.
Okay.
And I think we did a show together.
Okay.
And I believe that Travis Louis was in that show
okay.
too. So I think we've always sort of had similar circles.
Yeah, right.
But and it's interesting that you say that with, you're like, I couldn't place your work, but I feel like I always come up in the forefront, and then just my work is just like a part of that. So it's interesting that you said that, because I was like, that happens to me a lot.
Yeah. So I started doing, looking on your website, and it's like, I see why that's the case, because
yes,
you're truly a multidisciplinary artist. It was kind of blew my mind, really. It's like the amazing painter, amazing illustrator, amazing graphic designer, package design, filmmaker, photographer, writer. It's kind of like, wow. And they're all really amazing work, all of them.
Thank you.
It's so good. And so I was like, well, that's probably why, because you don't have one signature. I mean, you have a signature style, but you're not like, I'm known for paintings mostly.
Yes.
But you do so many different things.
Yeah. So it's interesting, because a lot of people are like, oh, Katelan wears so many different hats. Mm-hmm. But because I have so many different disciplines that I work in, I think it is hard to pinpoint me sometimes, or people don't know what to do with me, or they don't know where to put me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. And I mean, I think a lot of artists like to do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
I think that's creative people like to be creative in all kinds of different ways, but
absolutely.
You're doing all of them, it sounds like, or it looks like.
I am. It's really interesting, because it's always like, you look on different sites or you look at different artists, and a lot of people have very distinct styles. And I feel like I have a feeling to all of my work, or, people recognize it through a feeling or something. But yeah, I don't have one signature style that I do. So
yeah. I would say if there's one thing, it would be like 30s.
Yeah.
Very 30s, which is like so cool.
Art Deco / like Victoriana.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's awesome. Oh, and then you're like featured in I don't know what publications, but like Architectural Digest type of places, right? Because you have this amazing house or apartment or something.
Yeah, I love decorating my apartment. So every once in a while, a magazine will be like, hey, can we feature it? And I'm like, sure, I've got my paintings in it.
That's so cool. That is so cool. I like it also because it infiltrates the mainstream with like witchy stuff. You know what I mean? And magic and occult and stuff like that. And I love that.
Exactly. I mean, if you can't do that, what are you gonna?
Yeah. That's the whole goal, is to try and infiltrate. Maybe not. But I'm always, I feel like this stuff. I'm sure you feel this way, that magic and witchcraft and whatever you want to call it, this kind of spirituality is everyone's birthright. Everyone should be doing it, and it's marginalized. And it's like, this is the way, some variation of this is the way everyone should be. It's real, true spirituality, Yeah.
And I mean, there's so many different aspects to it too. I mean, I always tell people, I was like, sometimes like the biggest magic is like in the back of the church with the nonas and like the grandmas, like all talking.
Totally.
It's just like, Ooh, you know some things.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but I do believe like everyone has their own sort of rituals that they do, or
Hmm.
their own kind of magic that they create. And it can be as simple as you want it, or it could be, a whole process.
Right.
So I think that's the beauty of it too, is it could be something as simple as like speaking into your coffee, or,
Hmm.
visualizing, your highest self, or,
Hmm.
where you want to be, or doing meditations or anything like that. And then, there's other aspects of it where people are, you know, doing full on rituals. And I think that's the beauty of it, is it could be as simple or complicated as you want,
Yeah.
but it's
Kind of
like
like,
your own personal thing.
yeah, yeah, like art. Just it's like
Absolutely.
art in that way. And,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's a. Oh man, I already forgot the first thing. I just had a thought. I'm so bad at this. I mean, my mind is shot. But I had a really good point about it being everybody's birthright. It's gone. Anyway, that's one thing I like about Mitch. I don't know if you know Mitch Horowitz.
Yeah.
His whole thing is like simplifying.
Yes.
Get to the very essence of it and
Hmm.
strip away the ceremony. But some people are into ceremony and love that part of it, which is cool.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
I guess it's the stripped down idea of stripping it down is more modern, I suppose.
I think so. And also, I mean, I think it also has to do with sometimes in when you're in the day to day of life, you can't stop everything and, get into a robe and,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and just do this entire thing. So sometimes it is the simplest thing that you can do at that moment.
Hmm.
I remember this one woman. She worked in an office, and she was like, sometimes, when people are bothering me or there's too much gossip, she's like, I just take those little pepper packets and the salt packets that they give you with your lunch. And she was like, I sprinkle them near my desk. And she's like, and no one comes near me.
Oh,
And I'm
that's so
happy.
cool.
And I was like, I like that, like it's,
Totally.
so sometimes the simplicity works, or sometimes it's just, rewiring the mind to,
Hmm.
work in your favor, because our minds are wired, to think of all the worst possible outcomes and be like,
Right.
I'm saving you.
Yeah,
And you're
right.
like, no, you are making me an emotional wreck.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I remember what
Yes.
that last thing you said reminded me. I feel like it's 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 a matter of having it's like a way of looking at the world. That's what
Mhm.
real magic is. And
Yeah.
it's like you don't have to practice any specific thing,
Mhm.
but as long as well, I'm not saying everyone should do this, but my perspective is that it is a magical universe or world or
Yeah.
whatever. And if once you start thinking in that way, all
Mhm.
these possibilities open up, and you start doing things like talking to your coffee, or
Yeah.
thanking the air conditioner for not breaking or whatever. It's like there's, or I'm always thanking my printer when it prints me a good print. I'm like, oh man, you're such a great printer. I love you so much.
I do the same thing.
So it's like, that doesn't require any kind of education or a
Yeah.
specific discipline.
No.
It's just an attitude towards life,
Absolutely. And, I think about that with photographs too. I think you can change so much of your life, like with a photograph.
Hmm.
I take a lot of self portraits, and sometimes when I'm like really, really down, I'm like, okay, I've got to just shift this energy. So, like, what do I want to shift this into? And, I'll take a photograph and it'll be very glamorous. And I'm like, okay, now I'm in that energy.
Hmm.
And now, like, I can focus on that. Now I can get out of this mindset that is not allowing me to do anything. And I can kind of shift that. And sometimes I do it too in between projects to kind of shift the energy, so I can sort of go from one mode into the next. But I mean, I think that with magic and with changing certain things, for instance, changing the way that you walk somewhere one day can create a huge change for, in the positive. So it's like you're getting out of that mode of something that you do every day you're shifting that narrative. And now this new doorway or pathway has opened up for you.
Yeah, totally. And I don't think people see that, and people do that with intuitively, and I don't think people realize that's a magical act.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like people change things up just when they're feeling stale or whatever, and but it's like about having that magical attitude towards reality, I think, you know?
Exactly.
And that's so cool, like that you're saying that you shift your state of mind through photography. It's like, I've never heard of photography magic. It's fucking awesome. You know, it's like there's all these things you can invent within that framework too, which is super fun.
There really is. I mean, the way that I shifted my mindset when I wanted to move to Chicago is I took this like 1920s, 1930s photo of myself, made it black and white, superimposed this documentary about Chicago over it. And then I put it up as my profile picture, and I was like, okay, this is where we're going.
That's awesome.
And within a couple months, I had all the money that I needed to move. And I had no idea where it was going to come from.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, there's something really, really powerful in this.
Yeah. Yeah, especially
and
when
anyone can do it.
Yeah, yeah. Moving it into the visual medium, some sort of visual, like a film is kind of a... You said you superimposed a film, like a documentary film over it?
I took a screenshot of this documentary and a still, and then I... in Photoshop, I placed it over it, and I, adjusted things so that it looked like all one image. And then, and after that, it was almost like something just like, it was like a light switch just clicked off in me. And it was just like, okay, this is going to happen. And then I remember reading something about William S. Burroughs using photography.
Oh,
and I
really?
didn't know this. I was playing
I'd never
with
heard
this.
that.
And so he did it. He did not like this cafe that opened up in New York, and he thought there was too many hipsters there. So he took a picture of the cafe, and every day he would erase part of the picture.
Wow.
According to him, I think within like 3 to 6 months, the cafe was gone.
Wow. It's powerful stuff. I love that, though. I mean, I don't love that necessarily, but I love the idea of being creative and using your art to affect change in your life in that way, on this magical level. It's like, it's made a little light bulb go off in my head. Like, okay, this is what there's something I feel like I need, and what can I do with my skill set? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's cool. So I already learned something cool. So where are you from originally?
Originally, I am from Ludlow, Massachusetts. It is a tiny town, Western Massachusetts, near Northampton, Amherst, Mass. So I grew up on a small farm over there. And then when I was 18, I moved to New York and went to Pratt Institute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I
Travis went there, right? Travis Lee went there? Yeah.
He did. Yeah. But yeah, growing up in a small town, I think was really interesting. It made me very creative because, I lived by the forest and there really wasn't much to do in my town. So I created a lot of art.
Right. So were you drawing and just doing creative stuff when you were little as well?
I was. I mean, my grandmother was an artist, so I would go to her house and we would do painting. We would do drawing lessons together. And then my other grandmother made dolls. So then she would teach me how to sew things and make these dolls. So I had a very creative upbringing with both my grandparents. And, I started out thinking that, I'm going to do drawings, pen and ink. And then I realized I just didn't have a lot of patience. And
okay.
And which is funny because I can spend hours working on a painting and have total patience, but for some reason shading just wasn't doing it for me. Okay. So, I just started to experiment with a lot of stuff. And I think that's where the multitude of different styles came from, is I just liked experimenting so much.
Yeah. Were you encouraged by
Yes,
family and stuff?
very much so. I mean, my grandparents had their own business. They made flags. They started the Horseman's Yankee Peddler, which
I don't know what that
turned
is.
into another publication that still exists, but I can't remember what the name of it is right now. And so they ran that newspaper. My grandmother made flags that had to do with horses because they used to race horses
Mm.
and raise horses and train them. And then on my mom's side, my grandmother came over from Austria, and so I would be cooking with her. I would be creating dolls and things like that and like these different crafts. And then, my parents knew, they were like, oh, she's good at this.
Hmm.
So then they really nourished that. They put, they knew some artists in the area, got me some classes with them, and I was always creating something. So it was a very magical childhood.
That's great.
I ran around the forest, like
Sounds amazing.
filled up little cups with honey for fairies and painted and drew all day.
Yeah, that sounds like a good life. Horses? You had horses around and stuff, I imagine?
My grandparents did. I didn't have a horse because I was allergic, which is hilarious that I grew up in a horse family. um, but my sister had a pony. So
Okay. Just being able to be around them is so cool because horses are so amazing.
Oh, they're really, really awesome. And they're just so smart. And they
Yep.
just form these really beautiful relationships with, either the trainer or the owner or the rider. And it's really incredible to see.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a trip. It's like it's so weird. It's like different animals have different kinds of consciousness, sort of. Like a horse consciousness is different than a dog consciousness.
Absolutely.
And a human consciousness. It's like, and it's really, it's kind of lame that human beings generally just are like, humans are up here and all animals are just dumb and down here. And it's not really like that. It's like it's like every animal is suited to what it needs to be.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Intelligence wise.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because that's why I think there's like certain people that are really horse people or certain people that are really cat people is like they can just understand that. I was always very much a cat person. My sister was a horse person. And I swear to you, my grandfather could like talk to his horses. And my dad can tame any animal. Like they just come to him. Like it doesn't even matter.
So cool.
Like they were
That's
like,
crazy.
you, sir.
One of my granddaughters is like that. She just has this knack for plants and for animals. Yeah, like we used to tell her when she was really little, like, go and put your energy into this plant we just planted, and it would bloom. I swear to God. And also with animals, she's always like, she would collect dead bugs. She would pick up lizards. Just with no problem. Like and she's like 14 now, and she just did it the other day. She came in the backyard. She's just holding this lizard. It's like she just has no fear of these weird animals, and she'll just pick up. It's really cool to see that kind of natural tendency and ability in someone.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. It's really interesting when you see someone that's just so good with plants or so good with animals, and it's just it's just so natural. It's just so like, it's like this flow with them.
Yeah.
And so it's really beautiful to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. It's magical.
It is.
So did you have did you decide on like, I want to be an artist? You went to art school, or was it like you were trying to figure out what aspect of the art business you wanted to do, or how did that go?
So when I was little, I really wanted to be an actress.
Oh, okay.
And so,
I was that with your self-portraits and stuff.
Yeah. And I just really wanted to be an actress. And I loved Eartha Kitt and I loved Marilyn Monroe. And so they were my dream team. And so I really thought that when I got older, I would become an actress. And then as I got older, I realized I didn't like memorizing lines. So that was kind of like out. I was like, oh, no, this is not what I want to do. So then I started focusing on art, and I had so many different things that I was really into. I think when I first thought about going to college for art, the first thing that popped into my mind was graphic design.
Hmm.
And then when I got to school, I actually wasn't very good at graphic design. So it was one of those things where it was kind of like a sucker punch. And you're like, wow, I'm not very good at this thing. Um, but I was good at painting. So I started focusing on that. And but I feel like I've always been a person that just goes back and forth between different things. I feel like my mind is like fragmented into 1,000 people and things, and it's just like, well, today I want to work on this, or today I'm in the mood to do photography, and tomorrow I'll be in the mood to paint a mural. And
Right.
I had a really hard time in school trying to condense it to one style. And so that's what I struggled with a lot, is that I wanted to play with a lot of stuff. And we were told in school, like, you really need to define a style. And so I started going more into collage when I was in school, and I was doing a lot of painting and collage. And then it just started shifting over time.
In what way?
So I think I was relying on collage a lot. I wasn't really drawing at that time. And then I kind of missed drawing and realized, because I was out of practice, I wasn't very good at it anymore. And then I had to rework it. And then when I started drawing again, then I just wanted to fill in the spaces with color. So then I started painting again. And I have always loved brushstrokes. I've been obsessed with brushstrokes, like different artist brushstrokes. It's like fascinating, and
like
just
fingerprints, kind of.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. So I got into that, and then over time, and I think especially when I started working with Billy Corgan, that's when I was just allowed to like really work in a number of different styles.
Yeah, you did so much stuff for Smashing Pumpkins. That's kind of amazing. I didn't realize how much it was until I went on your website and looked at all of it. Even his branding for like a little coffee shop of his, right?
Yeah, he has a Madame Zuzu's in Highland Park.
It's so cool. The graphic stuff you did is amazing. I'm like not good at graphic design at all, so it's really a struggle. So anytime I see good graphic design, it really impresses me. And it was super great. And all the stuff you did for the projections for their live show, all the illustrations, really, really cool. Like how did that come about?
So I met Billy, I believe, in 2012, and it was through his former bassist, Nicole Ferrantino, who I have known since preschool.
Oh, okay.
And so, and we've kept in touch over the years. So when she joined the Pumpkins, they came to New York one year. I do believe it was 2012. And Nicole messaged me, and she was like, I just have this feeling that you and Billy are going to be really good friends. And I feel like I need to introduce you guys. And so he was doing a show with iHeartRadio. And after the show, we all went out to dinner, and he and I were talking a lot. I didn't really think anything, of it. I was like, oh, I had this great conversation. Fantastic. Good night. And then I ended up doing a class on the tarot at Madame Zuzu's, the first one that they had in Highland Park. And it turns out Billy was in town for like a day or two, and it was in between touring, and Nicole was like, hey, he's having a birthday party, like he wants you to come. And right after that, we started talking a lot, and we formed a friendship. And over time, he would come to New York. I would see him and go to the shows or whatever. And then when I moved to Chicago, it was like, oh, wow, like you're here too. So, we started talking more. And then it turned out it was actually perfect timing I believe it was like 2016, maybe 2017.
Mm.
And I just got really freaked out because I lost a bunch of jobs, and it wasn't anyone's fault. It was just funding wasn't there,
Right.
and it was just one of those things where it's like, wow, when it rains, it pours,
Yeah.
And so I messaged all my friends, and I was supposed to see Billy and just hang out as friends, like, and go have lunch. And I think he was worried because I was just down, and I was like, yeah, these jobs just fell through. And he was like, oddly enough, I need help with something. Would you be interested? And I was like, yeah, like, and he was like, okay, like, let's test this out. Let's see if we could work together. And, because we were friends, we're just like, let's just see if this could
Right.
work,
Yeah.
And it worked out really well. So from then on, he would give me little projects and things like that. And we just realized that we had a really good working relationship.
Mm. Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's great when you find people like that, especially ones that have money. but I have that kind of relationship with Adam Jones from Tool.
Yeah.
Like artistically, creatively, when we get together, it's just like, boom, it just clicks. It's weird.
It's,
we could read each other's minds almost and improve on each other's ideas. It's really weird.
It's like that with Billy and I. Like, he once said, he was like, I think we get along so well because we both speak in poetry. And I was like, that makes sense. And, William S. Burroughs and Brian Geisen had a thing called Third Mind, where they would take pictures of themselves and splice it and create a third mind, and saying that they could work together and read each other's thoughts. So when you said that, I was like, yeah, it's kind of like the third mind.
Yeah. It's funny. I mean, there's so much I want to ask you about all this stuff. But just the cut up method.
Yeah.
Which I've read about my whole life. I've never actually done it, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, can you explain it to people who may not have heard of that?
Yeah. So it is a technique where you take either writing that already exists, or maybe some of your own writing, or a group of different writings, and you can either cut it into 4 pieces and rearrange it, or you can cut it line by line. Mm-hmm. I kind of like to do the line by line. It just feels a little bit, I don't know, juicier, I guess. I don't know what the word is. It's juicier. But so you take it, you pull randomly from these groupings of writing, and then you tape them down onto a piece of paper, and usually something that you need to know comes through.
Yeah.
So
like a form of divination.
It is. It is. And also, too, I mean, I think if anyone is ever struggling when they're writing and they can't figure out what to do, I always suggest, I'm like, make copies of your writing, cut it up, pull at random, and normally what's missing from the writing will appear.
Oh, wow.
And so it may just be like 2 sentences or something like that are together, but something will click. So it is a really great form of divination. It's a really great form of like also just getting your brain out of that stuck place and being like, see, it was right there. It just needed to be rearranged.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so interesting. It's just like one of those things I don't know, maybe I didn't want to cut up any of my books or anything.
Yeah.
But it's like, I've always thought like, I got to do that. And I never do it.
It's fun. I mean, sometimes you'll get stuff and you're like, I don't really know what this means. But, other times it'll be like, oh, wow, this is really profound. But what I do is I just, go to my printer, and there's a copy part, and I just make a copy of the of the writing, and then I can just cut up and not feel bad And so, or, if I have like writing that I'm doing, I'll make a copy of it, print it out, cut it up, and then just pull at random. And then sometimes friends of mine and I will take our, writing and put it together, and then,
cool.
Cut that up. And then another time I asked Billy if I could take some of his songs and cut them up and put them in. And he was like, yeah, like, of course. And so that was interesting too, because then you have like these lyrics, but then when you read it back, it's like something completely different.
Yeah. That's so cool. Okay,
Yeah.
now I have to try it.
And David Bowie used to do cut-ups.
I know. Like I said, I've been reading it for like reading about it for
one of us
30 years, and like knowing it's cool, and it's just one of those things, you know. It's like you can only do so many things, and then especially when it's like a new thing, you're like, I'm not sure how to cut it. I'm not sure, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm the worst cutter. Like mine are all like sideways and just weird, and I'm like, all right, whatever. It's art, you know.
Yeah, yeah, you can get away with it. It's part of the art. Yeah. They invented that.
They didn't invent it. I believe it was. Oh my God, I think it was Tristan Tzara. Did a performance piece and took random phrases and plucked them out and put them together. But it was like an avant-garde, you know, sort of art piece.
I guess they maybe put the mystical attitude.
They definitely did. I mean, Burroughs was definitely practicing different forms of magic. And then Brian was experimenting with things within his paintings. So and they were both, Brian was doing more, you know, meditative work and things like that. And Burroughs was kind of doing more like chaos kind of magic work. And so I think together they created just like this system that was really interesting and intricate.
It's so cool. I love it. So, okay. So as for the Smashing Pumpkins stuff. Yeah. Okay. So we know you got to Chicago through magical means in a way. So, but why did you move to Chicago in the first place?
So I love New York. I feel like I understand New York very well. But at the time I felt like I needed a change. And I was thinking about maybe moving to New Orleans. I was thinking about maybe moving to LA. Then I was like, I don't drive. I would have to rely on.
You have to drive.
Yeah.
Well, now with like Lyft and stuff, you can get away with it, but it wouldn't be cheap though.
But I was like, it's going to be very expensive if I move to LA. So let me try and figure out things. So I spent like a year just traveling around to different states that I thought that I might be interested in. And it turned out that Chicago just felt really good to me. So I was like, okay, I feel like there's something here that, you know, needs to be nourished, and, you know, and I need some different energy in my life. Like I love New York, but I feel like at that time I just really, really needed a change.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when I moved here, I immediately felt the difference in the cities. They definitely move at a little bit different paces. And they definitely have very different energies. So when people start comparing cities, I'm like, just let them be their own things.
Right.
So it's like,
they're special in their own way.
Yeah, they're definitely special in their own way. But yeah, so I feel like when I moved to Chicago, it really just opened up a lot for me creatively. And Billy said that would happen. He was like, the lake does that. And he was like, I always, you know, think about what I've written by the lake. And he was like, it just pulls something out of you that's very creative. And he was right. I mean, I've lived by the lake the entire time that I've been in Chicago. And there is something about this water that really does just enhance whatever you're working on.
Wow. That's so cool. Yeah, he's kind of into this stuff, right? I mean, I've heard interviews where it sounds like he knows what's up with magic and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Okay, so do you work like with him on just kind of like a project per project basis, or are you like are you the official like Smashing Pumpkins designer sort of, or you don't want to assume that and say that, but
I don't know.
It seems like you've done a ton of stuff for them, album packaging and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I think we work really well together. And I think when there's a project that he thinks fits with me, then he'll call me up.
Okay.
Or Chloe, his wife, will call me up. Or
it makes
because
sense.
there's definitely, certain projects where, another artist would do it. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Totally.
And I'll see it. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's totally them. I feel it. I see it. Yes.
Especially an artist like him who's always changing and doing different things and changing his styles. That makes sense.
Absolutely. And, I think one of the ways that we work well together is because I can do different styles too. So, I can,
that's true.
Kind of tap into that. We're both very much into Art Deco and, so that definitely helps out, but, it's usually by per project.
Okay, cool. Okay. I approve. Just kidding. So, okay. I mean, when did you start getting into the woo?
When I was little, I like I said, I had a very magical upbringing. And then, my grandmother would do certain things and I would just think they were really normal. And then turns out you're talking to kids at school and they're like, what are you talking about?
So it's you may be a what's the terminology for witches through bloodline. You are kind of, in a way.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to be, but some people are, like their mother, their grandmother, great grandmother, and so it was a thing. It was
a thing, and I mean, I always grew up and just thinking like, okay, this is something that they do in like rural Europe or something, or like this is something that, like Romani people do, or this is something that when you're that young and you're just seeing certain things, like my grandmother would like sweep the steps outside and then pour water over them. And like, I thought every household did that. And it turns out, no, in fact, they don't. And, or for another example is like when someone has hiccups, you take a glass of water and you put a knife in it and then you drink the water real fast and your hiccups are gone.
Wow.
I thought everyone did that. Only no. Or a red string with a key and then you throw it over your shoulder and it stops hiccups as well. But
wow. That's so cool.
So, there was little things. And I just, as I got older, I was like, okay, maybe this is just like, not folklore, and not really folk magic, because no one was saying folk, my family wasn't saying folk magic, but I thought it was just stuff from a village or, like things that people did and it was just normal. And then as I got older, then I was like, oh, these are magical acts.
When did you have that realization that oh, this is I mean, how did you make the connection? Like what got you into formal magic or whatever?
I think I was around like 12 or 13. I had gone to Provincetown, Massachusetts with my best friend at the time. And so we were walking around Provincetown, we went to the beach, and there was this tiny little store called the Mystic Tree of Life. And so we walked in there and I don't know, like there was something about the scent of it there where I was like, ooh, yeah, I like this.
I've had that experience before at an occult bookstore. It's like, it feels like home here.
Yeah. And it was just like, and of course this was like the early 90s, so it was just like, crystal balls and then, like pendulums and crystals. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And I had bought a tarot deck and my friend and I were playing with it and
just on a whim you bought the tarot deck?
Yeah, or you know what? I think she got it for me, honestly. Because we were there vacationing, but we were very young, and I think we were buying each other gifts, and
it's just like, this is cool.
Yeah,
this is cool. I'm gonna,
And I had played with playing cards before and done like little bits of divination with playing cards,
Mm.
but I had never really worked with tarot cards, until I got this deck. And then once I made the association that they were similar,
Mm-hmm.
then I was like, oh, okay, I kind of understand this. So it was I think around that time, like up until then, I don't think I knew exactly what it was. I was, just experimenting. I
Mm.
was, you know, just looking at things as very like regular everyday stuff.
Mm.
And then when I went there, I was like, oh, like there's something else
Okay.
that's happening here. Like
Yeah.
there's something else. And I don't think I even knew anything about like rituals or anything like that. Like
Right.
I learned, I think, within that same year.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of putting all these things that I thought were very normal that, I thought everyone did that no one did. And then like kind of realizing that there was like more stuff out there.
Right.
And then it all kind of like formed into things. I always say like I'm a little bit of like a late bloomer on everything. So I was a little slow on things up until then.
I don't know. That sounds pretty young to me.
It was just sort of putting it all together. I'm like, this is fine. This is normal. This is
right. Okay. So yeah. So you kind of like, I guess your formal introduction to the occult would be through the tarot cards. You could say, right?
It was
or
like
it was like the gateway drug in a way.
I think so, because it was, I would do stuff with playing cards, but I didn't put it together that it was a form of divination.
What kind of stuff? What you were just
so
like
I
playing,
would,
making little
put them down and
stories?
And it's basically how I learned to like read with them, but I didn't associate it with it was weird. I don't know how my brain was working, but it wasn't really I would like ask questions about like my aunts and uncles and be like, and then I would
pull
like
cards and then,
then I would like get, and then I would see my grandmother like doing stuff with cards. So I think I was just emulating her, and that's kind of like how I learned. But it was, and I must have, I don't think I had a book. So it must have been maybe my grandmother would tell me things, or, but I feel like as I get older, my memory is like this like distant, like black and white
don't
film.
even talk to me about that.
I'm like, please let me remember things. But so I would like, this is so funny. I would like spy on my aunt and uncles and be like, oh, looks like they're going to get a divorce. And then they would get a divorce.
Oh, no way. That's so funny. It's like a little kid's version of just something a little kid would do.
It's like, I'm going to spy on my aunts and uncles.
That's good.
But, once I got the tarot deck, then it was, because I'm such a visual person, I think with seeing the pictures, the visuals there was like a huge door opening. Because when I put the cards down, I could see stories emerging. So it was like a storyboard for me.
Right.
And then it was like, oh, this is telling the story of the person asking the question or telling the path. So, and I started to not see it so much as like fortune telling, but I started to see it as like, oh, this is a map. And you can deviate from the map.
Right.
And you can, create your own pathways on the map, but this is the basic map.
Right. Yeah, I just had that. It's funny because I was texting this to Steve the other day. I had this it's I'm sure for you it's like duh, but for me it was like I finally had that realization, and I've been told this before in different ways, but I had the realization like, I've always dabbled in tarot cards, and then I got like more serious in the last couple of years, but still I've been like, it is being an artist. It's like you have to, everything you're interested in, you have to stop for like 2 weeks to make some money, and it's just constantly like that. But I've been doing like daily draws and stuff lately, and I just had this I've been doing it, kind of like a simple daily draw to see, and the energy of the day or whatever.
Yeah.
And and I'd get like a bad or like a negative reading. And prior to this moment where I had this realization, you're always like, I'm hoping for a good reading, or, oh no, I don't want to get a bad card. I don't want to get the Tower. And it just like, okay, so I got this reading or this card. I don't remember what it was, but it was very much like, you've taken on too much, you're beating your head against a wall. That's the energy of it. So I had a whole list of things to do. Yeah. And I was like, okay, if that's the energy, then I'm just like not going to try and get anything. I'm just going to blow it off. There's one thing I need to get done that's like a tax thing. So I have to do that. Everything else, I'm going to let it go. And I had like the most amazing day because I wasn't struggling to try and get stuff done because the energy was working against me. So it's like, it shows you where the energy's going, and then you can navigate. Can navigate the day based on that energy. It's not like you get a bad card, so you can have a bad day, or a good card and you can have a good day, which, like I said to you, obviously you were like, yeah, no kidding. But for me, it was just like finally had that realization, and it really deepened my understanding of the cards, I feel like.
Yeah. It really does, because, if you do like a daily card pull and like you get something that's like not so great, you're like, okay. And sometimes I'm like, okay, what do I need to let go of to, like you just said, like, what do I need to just, so, and sometimes I realize when I'm pulling a card, I'm just in a really bad mood.
Yeah.
And so like the card, I'll be like 10 swords, Tower, 3 of swords. And I was like, fine. And then I'm like, no, it's me. Like I'm the problem.
Yeah. It's always telling you what you need to know. Even if you sometimes you can ask a question about something. It's like, that's not what you need to know right now. You need to know this, that you don't want, the question you didn't ask, and then it kind of answers. I've found that anyway.
Yeah.
That's so how did you study tarot? Because you're like a pro tarot reader. You're like an expert.
Yeah. So like I said, I kind of grew up with the playing cards, so I already knew somewhat, like the meanings. But again, playing cards are different. So, when you're looking at playing cards, some of the meanings will be different than the tarot. But I knew, the basic, idea. And I tried to get a book, and I just like had no interest in reading it, apparently. So I had to kind of figure something out for myself. So what I would do is I would take a card every day and I would look at it, and I would almost like put myself into the card and like walk around in it and just sort of see what I could see. And then I would write down what I felt the card meant, and then I would look it up afterwards.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And
this is something you just intuited?
Yeah. So it was one of those things where it was like, oh, more often than not, this is correct. And the symbolism's all there. And, once you put yourself into the card and you can see the relationship between the people or the things or whatever they're doing, it's like, okay, now I can kind of understand this better. Right. So I think, again, because I think I'm such a visual learner, that I really had to kind of go into the picture of it.
That's so interesting.
And then to learn to read, again, I looked at it like it was a storyboard, like it was a comic almost. Yeah. Because I loved comics too. I was like really into comic books.
That's a class I took. It might have been, or it may have been something Mitch Horowitz said, because he used to read tarot too. Or I'm blanking on the other guy's name. Sorry, other guy. But it was a tarot class. He has a magic system. He kind of developed a tarot magic system that's personal system, and I think it was him maybe, but he was saying to take the cards, rearrange them to where it's like a comic strip, basically what you're saying, until it makes sense. You know what I mean? Which is interesting too, because I mean that's just a different way of reading, because some people are like past, present, future, or whatever, and that's where they sit. Yeah. But then other people like move them around, and I imagine it's like based on your feeling about it. Yeah.
When I put the cards down, a storyline starts emerging. And it's really interesting. I started off just doing like the regular Celtic cross kind
Mm-hmm.
of reading. And then there was a reader that I met, and she read with playing cards. She was in Spanish Harlem, and her name was Vanessa, and she had a botanica over there. And she would use all the cards, and she'd be like, and blah 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 blah. And I was like,
Oh, really?
is this? I was like, this is the most like intricate, like,
That's insane.
I was like, I feel like I should be filling a notebook. And it was just so, and I was like, wow. So I started using more cards, and then just everything just started like forming, and it was almost like like they were speaking. And so I would be throwing down cards and just being like, and this and this and this and this and this, and I was like, okay, something is happening here. So now it just sort of formed into like this chaotic process where I am using more than just the Celtic cross cards,
Mm-hmm.
and just piling them on top of each other, and it's just telling me all this information
Hmm.
until it stops telling me.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a big intuitive type of thing. That's like a feeling thing.
Yeah.
But that's so much of magic is a feeling thing, an
It
intuition
really is.
thing.
And it's so personal. Like I always tell people, I'm like, don't get upset if something doesn't work for you, because you're going to find your system.
Right.
You're going to find what works for you. It's the same thing with art or writing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
like you may learn from one way of doing things, but it may not work. And then all of a sudden one day you're like, what? Like
Yeah.
this is what I've been waiting for.
And you have to try all the stuff that doesn't work to know that
Yes.
it's not for you. So you have to kind of try everything.
Exactly.
Again, I think this is something I was talking to Steve about, because we talk about this stuff a lot, or I maybe said it on the podcast. I don't know, but I was having like a thing about, should I read reversals or not?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I didn't know, and I was like, it's just all this minutia, this dumb stuff, instead of just like trying it. And so I kept being like, I don't know, some people do, some people don't. And then I did a reading just on a whim for a friend of mine, and I was like, okay, this is what I'm getting. But then I realized, I wasn't doing reversals. So
Yeah.
I got one in reversed, and I put it right side up, and then I did the reading, and it's like, it wasn't. I asked him, does this sound right? And he's like, no, not at all. And then I was like, well, what happens if I turn the reversal, if I reverse this card? And it just was totally made sense.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, okay, I guess I'm reading reversals. I guess I'm one of those people that reads reversals then.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that's how I suppose, is if it works or not.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
Oh, okay.
And when I first started, I was absolutely reading reversals. And then I think when I came up with my system where I'm using all the cards, the information came out anyway, because it was just like it was going to
Oh, right.
pop
Yeah,
up
it's telling you in
somewhere.
a bunch of different ways.
Exactly. But I mean, it really is whatever is working for you. I
Right.
know some people that are like, yes, I absolutely read reversals. It really helps out with the reading. And then I know some people that are like, I get the same thing either way,
Right.
So-
Yeah. I mean, because you can also read a card and go, okay, it's these things are associated with it. They're like good. And then these things that are kind of negative are associated with it. And
absolutely.
you apply them accordingly,
Exactly.
intuitively, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so fascinating. I'm so into it. I started on with, in the 90s with I Ching.
Wow.
That was my thing. It's like, I was working on a movie set, and it's so weird. There was we made this chimp suit, like for a movie, gorilla
Yeah.
suit. And it was about a really bad movie. It's so bad, called Born to Be Wild. But it's about a signing gorilla that does sign language. And so there was a scientist, what was his name? Roger or something. He was like the scientist that taught this chimp named Washo. You could look on Wikipedia, Washo, the chimp,
Yeah.
to do sign language. So he was like there as an advisor on set. And somehow we got on the topic of I Ching, and he was like way into I Ching. And he was a scientist guy, and he's like, it's always right. It's always right. And we were like, wow, that's interesting for a scientifically minded person to be so into I Ching. So
Yeah.
I bought this I Ching, still the book I use to this day, this I Ching workbook, it's called, I think. And yeah, that's where I was like, it always worked for me and it was really great. But tarot is something I got into later.
Yeah.
And I kind of like it more because it's more occulty. It feels more occulty and witchy a little bit, and I like the artwork and but both will work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I, have done different forms of things like, tasseography.
What's that?
So that's when you read tea leaves or
okay,
coffee.
Yeah.
And, that's interesting as well. Sometimes I've taught classes and people are like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, no, the images will show. Just squint your eye.
Right.
But a lot of times people are just like, I don't know, if it doesn't show up immediately as a physical thing, then I don't know if I see it. And it's like, well, sometimes you have to look at the shapes or, this is where art school comes in really good.
Right.
The negative shapes, the negative space, then you can kind of, see images in it and you can, see what's going on in your life or what you need to be aware of or, what the person that you're reading for needs to be aware of. But it's, there's so many different ways to practice. I think, what we keep, coming back to is like, what feels good to you, what feels comfortable to you. Because, we can try out everything. And I think it's great to, be in your alchemy period where you're just like, all right, am I going to get gold or am I going to get sulfur? Like, let's check this out.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that's in a way, it's almost the most fun time is when you're figuring it out.
Yeah,
because it's so exciting and it's when all the seems
really
like all the
is.
crazy stuff happens and
yes,
and then when you settle into something that works, it's like it becomes a little more mundane, like part of everyday life. It's still amazing. I'm not complaining about it, but it's just like being, I don't know, going to college and being in your 20s is more exciting than being, I don't know, my age, because when everything's kind of like settled, and I love it. I would never go back to being that age, but there's like there's a certain like newness and excitement to everything, especially and when you're a kid too,
Absolutely. I was just thinking about that the other day. I was like thinking, all these periods of my life, and I was like, man, I was like going around and exploring everything, and I was like, I was also like really, really, really broke, but and it's just like, okay. But it's really interesting because it's like, of course, I'm extremely happy and grateful for the life that I have right now. But of course, like you kind of miss that newness of like, like I'm exploring my own city. I'm doing all these things. Right. I'm learning all this stuff for the first time. But yeah, it's interesting.
Having like an amazing synchronicity. It's like, when you have them early on, it's just like, this is impossible. A lot of people I think probably think, am I crazy? Because that's impossible what just happened synchronicity wise.
Yeah.
And at this point, it's just like, oh, cool. Another synchronicity. And it's just like, okay, maybe I should think about this, but it happens just so often. It becomes integrated into your life, I think.
Yeah. What's interesting is like every once in a while, like I'll get like this newness. There was a friend of mine from New York. She was one of my really good friends when I was like 20 years old, and she came to visit Chicago a couple years ago. And so I like to tell people this story because it's really about like realizing that you have a lot more control and power over your life, like than you realize. But she was like, have you ever erased clouds? And I was like, what? Erasing clouds? I was like, what is this? And she's like, no, it's a thing. And I was like, it's a thing? Have you heard of this?
Yeah. I think it's in this book, Illusions. Do you remember that book, Illusions, by Richard Bach, the guy who wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull?
Yes, I think it is. The
Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah, and he teaches him how to like make the clouds. I think it's in that book, but I've definitely heard of it.
So, we're in this park and she's like, let's erase clouds. And I was like, all right, like, I'm down. So, like, we lie down and, like, her wife is videotaping us because we just look ridiculous. Like, she's just like, and, like, we're like erasing clouds with our fingers, like, up in the air. And it worked. And of course, scientifically, clouds are dissipating and doing all that. But in that moment, it's like, oh, wow, like this is happening very fast. And the other clouds are dissipating, like it seems much slower because you're paying attention to everything. And you're like, wow, like if I can erase a cloud, imagine the things that I can do in my life.
Right.
So it was one of those moments. And I did that with my little cousins. And, they were going through a lot. They're like, at the time they were like 13, like everything is changing for them.
The worst years.
And so I'm like, all right, let's go outside and like erase some clouds. And like, we did it. And they were like, I have so much power. I'm like, no, don't let anyone talk down to you. Like,
no, yeah, right. That's another great thing about magic, for lack of a better term, is it's so empowering. Mm-hmm. And this world is so unempowering. The whole way society is set up is so just fucked up and not focused on empowering people to be their best versions of themselves. And it's like magic is just like it's totally a DIY thing that makes you feel like you have some agency in the world, which feels so good. Just that in itself feels so much better than regular existence.
It really does. And I mean, there's so many different, like, again, we're talking about, like so many different forms of magic. Like the other day I was talking to my Spanish teacher and I was like, yeah, and I made this oil and I got the recipe from the Bible. And she's like, what? And I was like, all right, girl. I was like, Exodus. Let me tell she's like, how do you find all this stuff? And I was like,
I think people that are really into it and not into one specific discipline realize that there is magic in the Bible and there's magic in Catholicism and there's magic in Judaism. It's like it's there in every one of the kind of mystical versions of regular spiritual traditions. And
I think that magic gets a really bad name, not so much from us or anything, but it's just if you look at the world as, different forms of energy, it's just like magic is awe. Yeah. It is having that, like, wow moment and just realizing like, oh, wow, this is connected or wow. Like, the other day, I was in such a bad mood, and I walked out and there's like these two doves that come and like visit sometimes, and they were there, and I was like, my doves are back. I was like, okay, I can't be in a bad mood because the doves were here.
Oh yeah.
That is magic, you know? And and at the same time, like it's one of those things where it's like, oh wow, like this is God, this is spirit, like telling me, like, calm down. It's fine. Yeah,
totally. And it's like everywhere around you is messages from God, you could say, or
absolutely
spirit speaking to you. And it's just like, all you have to do is shift your perspective and consciousness and you'll see them, it's like, you have to just kind of like, I don't know, not be so living in, okay, that's a bad way of putting it. I want to, materialistic, not in the way of like buying lots of things, but like materialist in the, like the scientific materialist sense. It's like, don't be so materialist that everything is just made of this dumb substance. And it's like, it's actually the opposite. It's like everything is alive. There's energy in everything, and that's all it's all just energy. It's not that crazy. It's not that crazy of an idea.
It's interesting that you're saying that, because it reminds me of the tarot too, where you see the devil card and he's got his hand gesture, and it's like basically like, what you see right here, that's all there is.
Right.
Nothing else. It's like, you're here in this world, in this physical space. That's it. nothing else.
Right.
But if you look at the Hierophant card, he has his hand symbol, and he's basically showing us like, hey, what you see is not all that's there.
Right.
There's stuff working in the background. There's stuff we can't see. And it's just, you have to have your balance of like being in the physical and the spiritual in order to fully, integrate and be there. And then you see the 10 of Swords, and the guy is on the ground with 10 swords in his back, but he's doing the same hand gesture that the Hierophant is doing. Right. And again, in your worst moment, what you see is not all that's there.
Right. Yeah. 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 It's pretty incredible, really.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the feeling I get. That's probably the biggest, I don't know. I've been doing this stuff since I was a kid, kind of like through my mom. My mom was like super new age, kind of like taught me meditation and visualization and manifesting stuff like that, even when I was a kid. So it's like I've had that kind of perspective all my life, but I feel like I've gone in and out of I don't know. I remember periods probably when I had a kid in the 90s. I was like working, and where I was like not doing it or not really into it, and then I'd kind of go back into it for a bit and go back down. And,
I did the same.
Yeah. And now I'm like fully in again. Yeah. And the big I think the biggest result that I've gotten from it was is a feeling of just like gratitude, like natural feeling of like, God, this is so cool and amazing, and even the shitty days are amazing. Yeah. Incredible. It's like, I feel like, I don't know, people don't stop. I don't know. It's a typical stop and smell the roses thing, but it's like, it's fucking crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. Everything around you is insane. It's like such a trip.
Absolutely. And it's so like, you can just find that inspiration everywhere. Sometimes I'll be really inspired. Like, went to Ohio to a concert with my friend, and we found out that we were right next to the Catholic Museum. I was like, what? We gotta go. Yeah. And it was like the most beautiful art. And I was like, I'm so inspired, and just like, I love the saints. I was like, give me the saints all day long. Yeah. And, and then some people got mad at me because they were just like, are you like, and I was like, right. No. Like, I am really just like integrated with everything. And I find a lot of magic and a lot of inspiration in different things. Yeah. And, it's really interesting, but it does make your life more fulfilling. It does. I think sometimes if you can't find a purpose, it does give that sense of like, yes, there is more out there. Totally. I am part of this. I am worth something. Yeah. And I believe that everyone, it's their birthright to feel that they are worth something and part of something much bigger in this world.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that I found that anyone that really is a real serious practitioner that has been doing it for a while and has their shit together and knows what they're talking about. Yeah. They say the same thing you're saying. Like, Damien Eccles is like, he says this all the time. Mitch says this, where it's like saints, Catholicism is awesome. Yeah. There's awesome stuff in the Bible. Yeah. And it's like you're able to see this in all the different traditions, rather than, it seems like the people that are stuck in one specific way are like not totally getting it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, or at least you could have your way, but not recognizing that there are other ways that work as well. And there's this kind of spirituality, like with the whole, people are super down on, evangelical Christianity and Catholicism, and rightfully so, because they've done a bunch of horrible shit. Right. But there still is this a real spirituality in there for those who have ears to hear or whatever, eyes to see, and are open to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, right? I do. And also too, a friend of mine grew up Muslim, and he told me, he was like, the problem with, like some of these religions is politics. And he's
Yeah,
like, if you
yeah.
take the politics out of all of this, he was like, you have really beautiful spiritual teaching.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's amazingly beautiful spiritual things in Islam and and they're all saying the same goddamn thing. It's so ridiculous. It's like really,
I know.
And it's like most people know this, and it's still like an issue for us dummies, this dumb human race.
I know. I'm just like,
we all talk about it, and it's like we all know, and then I guess it's just I feel like there's I want to know your thoughts about this. I feel like because of social media, we're at a real like tipping point with enough people. Like they say that if enough people what's that? Is some scientific theory. Like if enough people believe in this one thing, it will spread to the rest of the population. Like it's like 3%, or I don't know. I forget. There's some small percentage. If enough people are into this one thing, it will travel beyond to other people's. It's like a critical mass type situation. And I really feel like we're at that critical mass with magic and the occult and spirituality, to where enough people are sharing information and practicing online, and with all this Epstein shit coming out, it's like totally, I don't know. I feel like it's all pointing to people starting to accept that that reality has this magical component.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Epstein's, I brought that up because it's so horrific and horrible that it's kind of like, I don't know, it's and the system is completely failing everybody. Like the government's totally failing everybody. So it's sort of like we're all just here left to our own devices, and then there's this community that's like telling you can be empowered, you can manage, and it's this magical point of view that will get you there, and people are sharing it, and people are desperate enough because everything's failing to actually give it a try, and that is creating this big critical mass. And when enough people are into it, it's just going to, like, everything's going to change. I feel like, and maybe it's hopeful, but I really honestly I feel like it. Like I'm not really.
Everyone I talked to has said that they felt like with everything that has been going on that just feels so just spirit breaking, that deep down within them, they felt a sense of hope.
Yeah,
coming from it.
Same here. I've talked to other people too that are like, I felt this and I didn't want to say it to anybody because I'm like, I still feel really hopeful about. It was right around the beginning of the year. Like I feel really hopeful about 2026 for some reason, and I shouldn't because everything is like a nightmare. But,
I know, and it's one of those things.
But I'm sorry. I think I'm probably autistic, but I haven't been diagnosed. But I'm really bad about interrupting people and stuff, and I get too excited. Anyway, I finally said something to somebody else about it.
Yeah.
And they were like, I feel exactly the same way. And then I started telling it to other people, and other people are like, yeah, I feel the same way. So, and then you're saying it as well. So it's kind of like, maybe I think it's real. I really do.
I think it is too. I mean, it's one of the reasons that I really like Neville Goddard so much too.
That's Mitch's guy. Mitch Horowitz loves Neville Goddard.
He is so good. And my great-great-grandfather was like a Neville Goddard type of person. He used to rent out Carnegie Hall and do sermons about I am mentality. And
who did?
So his name's Carl Horton Pierce, and he's my great-great-grandfather. And
no way.
Wrote books, and he wrote one called Heal Yourself. And so my mom told me about it years ago, and I was like, oh yeah, I should read his book, because I was like, I like Neville Goddard. I was like, how did I not know that my own family member?
That's so crazy.
Very bad family member over here. And they were very similar in the aspect of course, both of them. My great-great-grandfather was a Christian Scientist, and then Neville Goddard used the Bible a lot, and talked about how God is within us. And that's why we have to have faith in ourselves, because like, how can you not succeed when God is already in you?
Right.
You're already a part of
yeah. You're already it.
Yeah. And so that made a lot of sense to me. And, my great great grandfather, of course, the book is very dated because it's like 1930s, 1940s.
It's a different time.
It's a different time. But, the idea behind it was very much there. And it's like, okay, yes, like you can uplift yourself, you can. And then if you want to take these verses from the Bible and integrate them into your lives or your teachings, or whatever, and take that knowledge and then just, go forth and do what you need to do. It does give you like that empowerment. So, it really helped me. I call it rewiring my mind, because, my mind, I feel like it's like, I don't know, it's like a plastic box of like plastic cables that are all like,
yeah, totally.
I was like, that's my mind most days. I'm like, no. And so I'm like, please, let's just have some like straight to energy sources. So when I read that or I listen to Neville Goddard, it really helps me get clear about, what I'm doing, where my mind is at, what I need to focus on. Because a lot of times if I'm working on a really hard project and the deadlines are, let's say I have to do 21 pieces of art and I have a week. And, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'll have that in the background.
Right.
Helping me through. And I feel like it's like detangling everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you got this. You got this. You can go through it. And, doesn't mean I always succeed. Sometimes the tangles come back, and I my boyfriend is very good at figuring out when I'm going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Or, like,
my wife is the same way with me.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I see you. I see who's coming through. But it does help me a lot. So sometimes I'll have to take a walk and like listen to that. But it's so interesting to see and to hear how much your mind can create something, especially when you're thinking about the subconscious and what we have gone through before, and, pattern recognition. So sometimes we can, think like, oh, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But it's just pattern recognition with our own minds. And that, in itself is just mind boggling. It's mind blowing. It's just like, wow, okay. Like, this is one of those times where you're just like, man, everything is definitely connected again. Going back to that original point.
Yeah.
But it's such great stuff to listen to when you're really scattered.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, Alan Watts is kind of my go-to for that sort of thing. I think he was always like, that's the stuff that made me go, okay, everything's cool. I don't have to worry about anything anymore. Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like we get caught up in worry, and then we're just like, wow, I just wasted like these 2 days, like making myself miserable.
And not only did you waste the time, you were actively working against yourself by making magic of the bad things you didn't want. You were putting energy toward the thing you didn't want to happen.
Exactly.
That's what I feel like worry is negative magic. And and I feel like for so long I've personally, like, because I grew up, my parents were like this. Money was always tight. They were always worried about money. I grew up, I was always worried about money, and I never had quite enough. And I finally got to a point where I'm still testing this theory where it's like, I'm not fucking gonna worry about it anymore. And it's like,
we are in the same boat.
and I'm sort of I'm waiting for the changeover, because I'm like, if I'm not putting the negative energy towards the thing I don't want to happen, the thing I do want to happen is just going to kind of come naturally.
Absolutely. And those are usually the times that you see the signs. Like,
Yeah,
the other
right.
day when I was in the bad mood and then the two doves showed up. And I mean, they were literally just chilling
Yeah.
on my windowsill.
Yeah.
And there was another time where I just couldn't make a decision. Like I was like wondering about something and, wondering if it was the right choice. And then like a dove threw it, like just came into the window. It was like, hey.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so,
And it was like sitting
it's
in my
so
house.
cool. And
like,
when those things happen too, it's just like, it's the best. It's so rewarding and fulfilling. It feels so good. And it's just like, it feels like, oh, there is a God, or the reality is alive and knows what's happening. And I don't have to worry about,
yeah.
And
that's, something that I have been actively, working on. Just, when I start to get worried or something, be like, okay, what's the opposite of this? What can I do?
Yeah.
So I'll create something. Or if it's like, right now, I don't want to be on the beach, but if it's like spring, summer, fall, then I'll be like, okay, I'm going to go sit on the beach and just look out at the water.
Right.
And because like this is what I would be doing if I was relaxed,
right.
And just like chilling out and just, being here. And just little things like that, just to kind of shift it. But you're right on with that. It's just like, why are we putting all this energy into worrying and like working against ourselves?
Yeah.
And like, we have to transmute it. We have to, because it's causing us, stress. It's causing us to not get things done.
And it's causing us to be broke. I feel like, at least for me, like I feel like it's the worry that's making there never be enough money.
Yes.
It's the negative magic that our minds are constantly doing. And it's I came up with an idea, which I'll tell you about. I told Mitch about it because it all stemmed off of his sexual transmutation sex magic idea, where he was like, he's been talking a while about, if you feel sexually aroused, you take that energy and start thinking of the thing that you want. And so you're using that emotional feeling towards the actual thing of your desires or whatever, like, whatever it is. And so I started like realizing when I would really get worried about, like, how it is as an artist, it's like, I got to pay my everything next week, and there's literally like $20 in the bank or something. It's how it is. And it's like, and it gets to this point where you're just like, you have so much anxiety. So I'm like, I started thinking that feeling of anxiety in your stomach is basically the same thing as the excitement you feel when things are going well. It's the same physical sensation. It's like kind of a tingling in your stomach, but one is it's what you're thinking about that makes it bad or good. So I'm like, okay, every time I feel anxiety for, not having enough money, I'm going to pretend that that's excitement because I just got paid.
Yes.
Or a bunch of money's coming soon, right?
Yes.
And so it's almost like if you have to train yourself to set up this automatic response, and it's like everybody's always got anxiety, so it's kind of, there's a lot of material to work with. So it's like anytime you're feeling anxiety, this is to people listening as well. The theory being that, because the idea is like that emotion is the big driver of magic. It's like it's the power.
Yes.
You can just think about things to manifest, but unless you have like having an emotion behind it, really supercharges it and makes it manifest. So it's like,
exactly.
So take that negative anxiety and imagine that it's excitement for the thing you want, and then you're using that energy and putting it towards the thing you want instead of worrying and creating the thing you don't want.
Absolutely. And you're right about that feeling, because it is very, very, very similar, if not the same.
I know. That's what it hit me like, wow, this is like, if I had something good happen, I'd still have that same excited.
Yeah.
It's like this weird physical feeling.
It's so interesting because, people are going to be like, she's talking about racing clouds and wishing machines. What is this go on? So,
We're all about it here.
So I have been creating these wishing machines, and I first heard about them through a talk that William S. Burroughs did. Apparently, I just talk about Burroughs all the time, too.
He's awesome. I love
He's amazing. So he did this talk on the technology of wishing and storytelling. And of course, he talks about the monkey's paw, my favorite story. I was like, if you want to learn about magic, first, read and watch the monkey's paw.
Right.
Just because sometimes what you wish for is not
right.
But he also talked about this book. It was called On the Frontiers of Science. And it was this guy, I believe, I can't remember his name right now, but he was a scientist and he did all of these experimentations with pyramids and things like that. Do pyramids keep razors, sharp? And there was one called the wishing machine, and he believed that it was basically a radio conductor, and an audio amplifier, copper, and an antenna, and these, in its most basic form, could take a wish and sort of like amplify the energy out there. So I built some because of course, I'm going to test everything out. This is my alchemy time. I'm like, hey, it's either sulfur or gold here, either or. But I took these old audio equipment, and I decided to build these wishing machines. But in order to get the frequency of what I wanted, I had to push the buttons up and down until I got that feeling that you were talking about.
Yeah. Wow.
And once I got there, that's when I stopped pushing the button and being like, okay, that's the frequency of that. And so I built these wishing machines. And
that's so cool.
Burroughs always felt that, you could use them to get rid of anxiety. You could use them to get rid of different ailments and things like that, and I have found that even if it's placebo, I don't care.
Placebo is magic.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's the same thing.
I was like, I love that I have like a physical thing that is amplifying something out there into the universe.
If it's working, it's doing it. It's amplifying it. If it's working. Exactly. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And it's just like, it's so interesting. I love building these things, but I was also like, wow, like, our subconscious, and even if it's my subconscious clicking into this machine over here and being like, yes, this thing's working. That's magic.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. That's so cool. So are you making these to, how many wishing machines have you made? Are you just making them for yourself, or are you selling them or giving them away as gifts, or what?
I have 3 right now. And right now they're just mine because I'm just experimenting with them.
I suppose if they're tuned to your energy, they kind of have to be made for you. Right? Yeah,
mine are specific for one of them's not specific because I have used it for other things, but there are people that do sell them online.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. They sell them for like a few $100s. But then, if you get the book or download the book on the Frontiers of Science, because you can download it for free. I don't think it's in print anymore, okay. But you can create one yourself, and you could just experiment it with yourself, experiment with it. Yeah. But, people have asked me, they're like, yours are really cool. Do you think that you would ever sell them? And I was like, right now, I don't think I have time to like build things for a lot of people. But, I was like, I enjoy doing it for me. Yeah. I enjoy the process of it. I love taking things apart and putting them back together.
Me too.
Frankensteining things. I was like, So it's really cool for me to do that.
Right. Yeah. I totally get it. I used to take everything apart when I was a kid and sometimes get it back together.
Yeah. Sometimes it was not successful.
I'll tell you this. Don't ever take apart a tape measure.
Oh,
Because I
wow.
remember taking apart a tape measure and I just could not get it back together. And it just went, metal tape measure. And it was
Wow.
like, no, you can't get it. There's no way.
I don't even think I could have pried one open.
I don't remember how I did it. I used to take everything apart. I've said before, it's like I felt like a tweaker when I was a little kid because I was, they're always tinkering and taking shit apart. And
I
trying
know.
To I was always taking stuff apart just to see how it worked.
Yeah. It was so interesting,
Yeah.
So it's just like when I do these, like, I just feel like I'm like, oh man, I get to see like the insides and like how things are put together. And this is so cool. And like, let's see, like, sometimes they look like little, villages or systems and things like that. And it's just really cool.
So this is like there are plans to make wishing machines in this book that you could follow.
I will send you
Okay.
the link to the book.
That's crazy.
And I recently wrote a blog about it on my Substack too. And I was like, okay, let's see. I was like, I know I'm just going to sound out there when I post this, but I was like, I'm fine with that.
We don't care. We don't care about that shit at this point. Imagine though, it would be so cool to do a show of art wishing machines, like really like art pieces that were wishing machines. You know what I mean? Where you're kind of like decorate. I mean, maybe you do that though, where you're like decorating with little figures and saints, and that could be so cool.
I do decorate them a little bit.
I should have known.
I do. I do decorate them a little bit, but it's I have like this whole system where it's just like I'm like sticking little things like in the insides of them and like rolling up little papers and like
that's so cool. Yeah.
If someone opened one up, they'd be like,
a crazy person made this. What is this thing? Oh, it's something a crazy person made. Look at this little thing with all the symbols on it.
Be like cut-ups in here.
Oh man, that's so cool though. Okay, maybe I'll make me a wishing machine.
I think you should.
Yeah. Wow. So what are you currently working on?
So two things that I can't say right now.
Okay. Should have known.
It's all good. But yeah, right now the projects that I have for other people are two things that I can't really talk about. But
are
on
they
my
cool,
own,
though?
they are very cool.
Of course.
They are very cool. The coolest.
When will we be able to be told about them? Can you say that?
Probably spring, summer.
Okay. Cool.
Late spring, early summer, maybe.
Cool.
I think. Yeah, so those and then on my own, because I had like a little bit of time, you know how like everything kind of shuts down around Christmas and like New Year's, like if you're like in publishing or music or anything, it's like, oh look, there's nothing going on. And at first you're like, yeah, like a little vacation. Right. And then you're like,
oh no.
I don't know what to do. So I started creating, I used to create, sort of like 7-day candles and like prayer candles and things like that. Cool. So I started doing those again because when I was in my bad mood, I was like, all right, Katelan, you have to get out of this. So like, what have you done in the past that has gotten you out of that? And one of them was like, oh man, I love when I used to work at this Botanica in the Bronx, Original Products. And I was like, I used to love so much when I would get home and I would like light up all my candles and the house was just filled with these 7-day candles. And, and I was like, that just felt so good to me. And it was like the scent of the wax and, everything else. It was just like, oh, this is what I want, especially during this winter where, at Chicago, at least it's been like snowy and then freezing and all of that. And I was like, it's getting to be. So I started creating these, 7-day candles again and designing them and doing them up. And that's been really fun to do.
That sounds really fun. How are you, what's the process of making them? Are you like decorating the glass or?
Yeah. So I designed the labels for them and then I designed specific prayers for them on the back. And then I created the oil that is from the Bible, the Exodus, in Exodus for anointing. I made that. And then
cool.
I went through all of my herbs and I put different herbs in each one that, and so I'm testing them right now. I'm like testing everything. I don't know. Like, I
You're
feel
a
like that's all I
scientist.
ever say. I'm a scientist. But yeah, so I'm testing them right now just to make sure that the wax is still good and, that it's quality and all of that stuff.
So
and
you're like you're like making these candles from all scrap. You're not using like pre-existing candles?
I'm using some. So I usually order from a company. I like their wax. And then I melt. I take one of the extra candles and then I melt some of the wax and then I put herbs in that and some oils and stuff and pour that into the top. So that, if I send them out, because I've sold them before, if they send them out, I don't want things falling out of the candle or, getting messy or anything like that. But it's been such a nice process and it really got me out of my head and my brain, and it just allows me to be in that space where, I was like 22 years old and that, coming home and lighting all these candles and just being like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah. So this is just for yourself? You're making them, or do you sell them?
I'm going to start selling them, but I want to test them all first.
Oh, I see. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. I thought about candle making before, just like sculpting. I want to sculpt candles and mold them and cast them.
Oh, that would be so awesome. Oh, please do.
Yeah, I know. I gotta just one of those. I'll add it to the list of all the things.
Add it to the list of all the things.
All the things I want to do. So, any other art projects you're working on?
Just the two right now. I mean, if I could talk about them, I would.
I know. No, I'm not. No pressure. No pressure. I just wanted to make sure I didn't leave anything out. Yeah, you also got this like amazing Substack. Yeah. It's like, where do you find the time to do all this shit? It's pretty amazing.
I don't leave my house. No,
right?
I mean,
Me too.
It's for real.
Same. I'm totally fine with it too.
I know. Oh man.
I mean, when you love what you do and you love the environment you are in, why would you leave that?
I know.
Unless you have to. That's my attitude.
I know, and it's cool too because it's like, my boyfriend, he has like his business and he sells vintage video games and things like that. So we have that going on in the house. And then, I'll sit, in the living room at my desk and start writing Substacks and he's doing his thing and selling and stuff. And it's just a cool environment.
Yeah,
so then I think it amplifies everything.
Yeah. For sure.
And I think that's why I'm able to do so much is that we're constantly like creating stuff. And I am a person that very much likes to be occupied. I want to share my thoughts. I want to be painting. I want to be creating things, and I love writing. When I was younger, I also thought actress, writer, I was going to do it all. And so the Substack gives me a chance to actually share my writing and, share my thoughts on things. I try to keep it just to be like, kind of like a potpourri of things because I'm like, there's so much stuff I'm interested in, and I'm sure I could condense it down to like one theme, but why do that?
Yeah.
It's fun for me.
It's always got to be fun. That's the main thing about creating art. I feel is that it needs to be fun. I mean, that's why I do it. It's fun. Yeah, that's the main thing. And then it's like, okay, how do I make this fun? Make money so I can make a living off of it. That's basically my attitude, Same.
It's just like, I sometimes I just like think about, like all of our lives and I was like, this is really cool. We get to do something that we love.
I know.
And, yes, there are times where it's very difficult and very hard. And like sometimes like you're working on projects and you love the project, but you're like struggling, or can't get something right. And you're like, but it's all worth it.
Yeah. Even the worst day in an art career is better than, I don't know, a best day at a regular job you hate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I've worked many regular jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, I just had like this memory of working in the body shop at like 22 years old, and like my poor manager, I like one day had a breakdown, and like literally my head was in her lap, and she's like, "It's okay, you'll be an artist." And she found me on Instagram one day, and she was like, "Hey, you did the art for the Hoodoo Tarot," and she's like, "I always knew you'd be an artist."
Oh, that's another thing. You did that amazing. You've got tarot decks.
Yeah,
your own tarot. It's just, I can't believe all the stuff you've done. It's kind of, you make me feel like a slacker, and I do a lot of work, and it's like, give me a run for my money here. I thought I was the hardest working artist. You're like blowing me out of the water with all this stuff. It's like, I want to do a tarot deck so bad.
Yes,
but it's
you
like,
should.
I am eventually, but I really don't feel like, I think someone like you should be making tarot decks, because you're actually really an expert in tarot, and I'm not an expert. I'm still kind of like figuring it out. So
yeah,
I'm sure when the time is right, I'll do it.
No, yeah, and I've discussed like decks with other people and things like that, and it's like maybe I'll do some more in the future. Last year was just so crazy. I was just constantly working on stuff. I was working on Machina, and then I was working.
Machina?
So Billy Smashing Pumpkins reissued Machina.
Oh, okay.
And so they did a Zuzu's version, which was very different from the original, Machina artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Billy wanted it to be its own, separate entity. It was Machina 1 and 2 together. And so we made it into basically like a magical manual. When you open it, it's the lyrics, but every song has its own sigil.
That is so cool.
So yeah,
that's amazing.
And then I put secret instructions in it.
That is so cool.
So that took up a lot of time. That was that was a good 3-4 months.
What kind of job lets you put secret magic instructions in it? Come on.
It was so, yeah. I mean, yeah, Billy's amazing. He's amazing. He's amazing. But and then afterwards we did the major arcana for Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. So that box set too. But so like last year it was just I was doing so much work. So this year, I mean, obviously the year's just begun, so right. I don't know what's in store for the future, but hopefully I can make a lot of art. I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sounds like you're always making art. So
I'm trying to. I like to think of my life as a piece of art too.
Yeah. I see that. Like, just like I was saying in the beginning, it's like I knew your name, I knew your face. It's because I feel like you've, with your living area, your apartment, and the way you decorate it, and the way you dress, and the way you show yourself on social media, it's like it's kind of like you are the art, I feel, which is cool, because there's a lot of, that's a legit artistic way of being for a lot of artists. And I'm not like that, so I appreciate it, because I'm way too much of like a slob and just like messy and not organized enough to have a really nice space. So I appreciate people that do that, that do that. It's really cool, artistically, creatively.
Yeah. I mean, it's really good. And then, I mean, I'm not always like super organized. I mean, sometimes like I'm a possum. So
it's funny, because I was like, I'm glad you said that about how your brain is like a box of wires. Because really, from not having met you and seeing your work and seeing your stuff on your website and seeing your stuff on your social media, just the impression you give is like, oh, this is a badass, empowered woman that just totally has her shit together. And I'm like, man, this is kind of intimidating, because I'm like, I'm in here sitting like with a plate on the ground and a bunch of paper towels with paint on the floor under my easel, and I'm like, man, she really has it together.
No, I've got a taxidermy fish inviting back me.
So it's nice to know you're actually human after all.
I posted this thing on my stories one day. It was like what people think an artist, workspace looks like, and then like it shows what it actually, looks like, and then there's the Danny DeVito quote, "I'm the trash man. I go around, I throw it up, I eat it."
Yeah, totally. That's great. That's great. Wow. Okay. Well, that was amazing. I really appreciate you. We're getting to the point where we should probably wrap it up, and I should let you go. I see the sun is changing. So I feel like I'm keeping you an extra long time, but I would love to have you on again sometime, because it's like we didn't even talk about. I'm sure there's, all your tarot decks and hoodoo and all this. This is like wild stuff, man. So I would love to have you back sometime, especially if you have something to promote as well.
Absolutely.
Feel free to let me know, and we could do it. And so that was great. Really great talking to you. Don't hang up yet. I'll stop recording, and then I always forget to tell the guest, don't hang up. I always wait at the end, and it's in every episode, so it's just like whatever. But the last thing you have to do is say goodbye to the audience in some way that you want to say.
Okay.
So go ahead.
All right. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you would like to look me up, I'm KatelanFoisy.com. You can look me up on Substack, Katelan Foisy. I am Katelan Foisy everywhere. I am very, very easy to find. Yes.
Cool. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
It was great talking to you. And thanks everybody out there in podcast land. I'll see you next week.